Increasing Productivity and Avoiding Burnout. Georgie-Ann is a New York-based tech ecosystem trailblazer. She's a Black female immigrant from Jamaica and mother of two. She's the CEO and lead execution strategist of GSD Solutions, a business development agency she founded in 2019. During the pandemic, her business grew tremendously due to their virtual event production services. Georgie-Ann is the author of The Art of Getting Shit Done, a memoir and entrepreneurship guide, and the host of the Doing the Most, The Misadventures of Entrepreneurship podcast. She's also a multimedia content creator and thought leader who is passionate about developing inclusive, innovative, and experience-driven business models. Additionally, Georgie-Ann holds a seat at the NY Tech Alliance and Caribbeans and Tech Entrepreneurship Boards. It is my pleasure to moderate this conversation, so let's get started. Welcome, Georgie-Ann. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me, and I can't wait to talk about productivity and reducing burnout.
Beautiful, beautiful. So we're looking forward to hearing what you have to say. But before we jump into questions, is there anything else you'd like to share about your personal or your professional journey, just to help us set the stage for today's conversation?
Yeah, great job with the introduction. I would just like to say that, my entire career, I've been an entrepreneur. I've worked part-time in different, roles and companies and stuff, but, just being an entrepreneur as well as being a CEO is very important to me. And having to manage that with all my other responsibilities, I'm super excited to have this conversation because mental health, being productive, as well as balancing and having synergy in your life is so important, because especially at a time like this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And congratulations on all of the things. I know that
Thank
during
you.
this pandemic, we have all been, challenged deeply. But, when we hear certain things like, people are able to grow their businesses and, their intentions are fulfilled in those ways, that is the silver lining through all of this. So I thank you for sharing that with us. So why did you choose to focus on productivity in your career? Tell us about this.
Yeah, so it all starts with, being the oldest, as well as being from an immigrant family, as well as being like the oldest daughter. So dual oldest and oldest daughter, you get a lot of responsibility, right? And it's kind of as soon as your sibling is born, it's like you are the third parent. And so being productive, having to split my days, split my weeks, split my minutes has been something that has been ingrained in me since I was a very young girl. And so it's just what I knew, right? And then as I got older, I realized that this is not a skill set that everyone has, and it's essential to people being successful, especially in their professional careers, their personal life. These skills that I developed while just really existing are essential life skills that folks need to have as they continue to build their business, as they continue to rise up the corporate ladder. They begin to be parents, take care of their family members. It was just such a key skill that not enough people had, and I wanted to educate and help people manage that skill.
I love that. So this is coming from within. You
Yes.
weren't just, saying, well, okay, let me look on the list of all the things I can do in life. It really it was an impulse. And and speaking of, I would just love to know how you define productivity, because this is something that I like to ponder on, and I like to ask different folks, because as things are changing, right? Like now there's this big conversation about, we need to be more diverse, equitable, inclusive, we need to create psychologically safe spaces.
Mm-hmm.
For me, productivity in all of that, we have to start to redefine that, right? And also, if not for anything else, because we are practicing inclusivity and we have people from all over the world who are contributing to the work that we do. So I'm just curious to know how you personally, I know I'm throwing this at you. You didn't have time to
No,
to
you're
come up with
fine.
your
I love this
definition.
question. Yeah, the reason one of the reasons why I love this question is because as things change, as the tides change, the economy changes, the way we look at productivity is different, right? 100 years ago, 50 years ago, that looks like, labor. It looked like, going out to work. Now everyone's at home behind their screens. We have technology. So much has changed in the last 100 years alone. And so what productive and production looks like has evolved. And so for me, productivity just simply means having the ability to figure out a task, create a plan for that task, and then executing that task strategically. Like that is what productivity means, and how that outputs is different. So as you were mentioning, like inclusivity, being in this connected world, productivity can look like making sure that your team has the essential tasks that they need. So you're delegating, right? Not because you're being productive means you're supposed to be doing everything. Being productive includes, okay, who from my team should really be doing this task? Should there be another team member added? Is there a need to add some technology in between, right? That's a lot of the things that we talk about at my company. What technology can we use to automate, and or what people can we use to outsource some of these activities off of our plate, so that way we can get it done? So that's really the goal around productivity.
I love that. And I want to dive in deeper in just a few moments about what you specifically do with your company. But before we do that, speaking of, there being a lot of things on our plate all at once, and given, the state of humanity right now is just piling on constantly, what is your advice to those who have a lot on their plate? What can they do?
Yeah, I love this question. So, the first thing that you want to do is take a look at the plate. What's really on the plate? Because I think it's so easy to get caught up and think, oh my gosh, there's so much on my plate. There's so much on my plate. And there may be a napkin on your plate, right? Instead of real food. So what is on your plate? So really making a list. It might take a little while depending on quote unquote what's on your plate, but make a list. What are the things that I have to do every day for my business, for my job, for my personal life, to take care of myself, for my family? What are all the things that I have to do? And then from making that list, looking at that list and saying, what are things that, separating, what are things that I absolutely have to do, or what are things that need to be done, but may not need me to do them, right? So that's the second step. And then after you do that, then now the list that absolutely needs you to do them, prioritize that. What is time sensitive or most important? For example, something like feeding yourself, right? You can't just outsource that. Maybe outsourcing the cooking, but as an adult, I'm pretty sure you're not going to get somebody to spoon feed you unless there's some type of medical complication and you can't do it yourself, right? So you have to be really strategic. What are things that I absolutely have to do? What's the time sensitivity around that thing? And then start planning your days. Okay, I need to exercise. I need to make sure I'm eating. I need to make sure that I get to work on time. How does that look? And how can I make the steps necessary to accomplishing that? And then the second half of that list that we first talked about of, what does it need you to do? Do I have the income to hire somebody to do this? Do I have family or friends around me that I could ask for a favor or create a system that we work and, trade off? And sometimes somebody else does it. Sometimes I do it. And working through it that way. But you have to look at what's on your plate. And then from there, you delegate and be able to slowly take things off. And, depending on if you have money or time, you could delegate or outsource in different ways.
I love that. Thank you. And thank you also for highlighting, the accessibility point, for folks who actually do need that extra hand to help, eat, or for, if people don't really have the income to be able to outsource or hire. Time management I think it's a big learning curve. I don't think we ever will stop learning about how to manage our time to where we are making sure we are always thinking of ourselves first. I mean, I don't think it's never ending, especially with all the new, emerging technologies that are, distracting us all the time. I would like to know, in your opinion, when do you know that these technologies are actually taking up more time and actually doing the reverse of you being productive? Because I don't know if you've had that personal experience or if you've heard of stories, but, how can people start to understand that maybe they need to take a couple steps back from having all the tools and all the, late and great technologies available to them?
Yeah. And I think, or at least I know when I'm not getting the benefit from the tool, right? Like, you really have to track your life, and it's going to sound tedious, going to sound like a lot of work because there are so many distractions. And I'll just give a personal example. I like to use apps to simplify pieces of my life. And then sometimes those apps, you get so sucked in, right? The addiction levels that TikTok, Instagram, Facebook have, I'm like, okay, I'm going on to market my business. And then what I find myself doing is, in the weekdays, I go on strategically because I have other things, I have work to do. On the weekends, I'm just scrolling to scroll because it's now become a habit, and scrolling feels good. It's like, oh, I'm going to see something cool, and I'm not really paying attention to what's the end goal, what is the result. So you literally have to do evaluations. And I actually just talked about this a couple of days ago with some colleagues. It's that, are you looking back, reflecting, right? So Q1 just finished. Did you do a Q1 review? And not only for your business or corporate life, are you doing a personal review for Q1? What goals did I set? Have your vision board, have the things that you want to do, and say, okay, now taking a look, how many of those have I accomplished? and what else is there to go. And then that's how you go back and check. And you signed up for an app that's supposed to help you lose weight. All right, 90 days later, how much pounds am I? Am I, eating healthier? Am I getting the results of this tool that I signed up for? And if the answer is no, you now need to take a look. Do I need to get a different tool, or is this system not working? And how can I adjust my schedule, my day-to-day to do better? 90 days might be a lot for folks, but I would say every 30 days, kind of take a look, doing your monthly finances, checking in on the status of the goal that you're trying to accomplish by being more productive using that tool.
I love that. Thank you. Yes, that constant self check-in. I mean, if you don't hear anything else from this whole summit, like, please check in with yourself constantly. A lot of folks, this just reminds me also of the big question, and I know this isn't our conversation today, but there is a line of connection there. Folks are like, how can we be more inclusive with our practices and really, uphold to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging? Checking in, like putting it on your calendar. Don't just say, hey, we're doing this, and then a year passes by and really nothing happened, or you didn't even scratch the surface. So having these regular check-ins with yourself, with the team, with your company, with your organization, it's key. So let's move into this next big puzzle that has just overcome our modern society today, burnout. So how do you know that you're entering into that realm of burnout? And then what are your top tips for avoiding burnout?
Yeah. And I also want to, before I dive into how do you know, I want to call out burnout, right? And burnout looks different for every person. And, I feel like we've gotten this like jungle term, and some people use it in the right way, some people don't. And burnout could look like a panic attack. Burnout could look like feeling depleted. Burnout could look like depression, physical sicknesses. So for me and a lot of people that I've spoken to, you feel burnout on the inside first, and maybe that's the burn comes out, right? That's when it's too much. Like it's almost like a volcano, right? You start feeling things within your body that says, why does this thing hurt, right? Why is my side, my lower back, it feels funky. I know that I'm stressed out a little bit, and we know the signs, right? We just kind of downplay it often. It's like, oh, that my ear is ringing, my eye is twitching, little things like that start to happen within your body, because your body's saying like, we're bubbling up. It's getting hot in here, right? It's about to come out. Like, you need to do something. How do you calm this down? And what oftentimes tends to happen is that we wait until too many things have gone wrong. We feel the signs physically, and then your mind starts to go, you can't remember things. You can't, you're getting really frustrated. You're getting angry. Somebody pushes you on the subway by accident. Why did you hit me? You're really getting defensive. So, your body first, then your attitude changes, right? And then after your attitude goes, your mind starts to go, you're forgetting things. You're not feeling comfortable. You're sad more than you usually are. Everything irritates you, everything. And then after that, if you haven't listened to that third clue, your body's like, okay, we're done. We're done. And you shut down. And shut down could look like, again, I have personally ended up in the hospital because of burnout, because I ignored all the signs. I said, just a little bit more, just a little bit more. And it truly takes one drop for that cup to fully run over, one incident for that volcano to fully explode. And pay attention to the signs. There are a lot of preventative measures that we can take, from, doing things as simple as exercising, standing up during our workday, right? And, and you don't have, a lot of people feel like, okay, I have to have a nice gym outfit and I got to go to the gym. YouTube has so many exercise videos. A 15-minute HIIT workout will literally have you soaking in sweat. It's crazy. Meditation, right? And a lot of these things, because they become almost trendy, right? Self-care has become trendy in a way, almost in an unhealthy way in certain spaces. People feel like, I'm not doing it cool enough. I'm not doing it well enough. Well, guess what? You just need to do it. It doesn't have to look a certain way. It needs to feel a certain way to you. And so some people, that looks like meditation. Another person, that could look like reading. Another person, literally walking outside your house and standing in the sun for 10 minutes could reduce your burnout by, reduce that bubbling up by 6 months, literally change your whole perspective. Going to a movie, watching something on Netflix, eating your favorite ice cream, right? These little things that what you like, and your body will tell you. So I'm just going to recap. Your body will tell you first. You'll start feeling aches and pains in different areas. You'll become very irritable. And then the last phase is that your mind will go. You're not sure what to do. You're overwhelmed. Things that would take you 5 minutes are now taking you 2 hours to get done. And then right after that, everything explodes.
I love the visual. Super. I mean, it's right on. It's spot on, in my opinion. The image of the volcano erupting. I think that also, I mean, I would love to see someone 100 years in the future just write on all of the phenomenon that's happening now. Like, how did we get here? Because we feel it personally, individually. Sometimes, I mean, I think most of us are in some phase of burnout. And, hopefully if we have gotten out of it, we know how to put our boundaries up so that, or, we can be more attuned to these sensations and these, somatic expressions so that we don't need someone else to say, hey, you're pretty snappy. You might need to take a break. So we can understand that first before we need that cue from someone else. What should professionals do when they realize that they have that they are already burnt out, I would say. So, and I would love if you feel comfortable to maybe dive in deeper on this, your transparency that you shared, that you were, you got to that level. How did you share this with your immediate, community, with your working environment? How did you segue back into, post burnout, or at least, coming out of the thick of burnout? So what did you personally experience? And then what advice can you give to professionals who are realizing right now in this moment that they are burnt out?
Yeah. So I'll share one of the incidents. And what happened was my phone broke. So I am a person, my phone, my calendar, I live by that. And so my phone broke while I was away on a trip, a family vacation. And the reason why it broke is because I was trying to work instead of focusing on the family trip. I was out of office. I was at the water park. I'm taking business calls in the middle of the sun at the water park. Bad idea. Do not do it. If you're taking a break, take that break. And that'll tie back in a moment. So my phone broke while I was at the water park. And because my phone broke, some communication that was supposed to happen with my team didn't happen. We ended up missing a critical event because I was just like frazzled. I'm just like, what to do? I don't know what's happening. I don't see my calendar. I can't access it. It just, I'm my head. I have to find a new phone. I have to schedule going to the, cancel all the meetings for the next day and get back. It was just a lot. And once I got a new phone and I was leaving the Apple store, and it was just, now every message is coming in, my contacts haven't fully loaded. So it was just like overload. So now, the thing that we were producing was already heavy on my heart. And like, I'm just like, oh, we messed up bad. So, it was a lot of anxiety around the production itself. Then because of my phone breaking and the lack of communication, even more anxiety. So this is like level 2. Everything is irritating me. So that was a second signal. I ignored it. I was like, oh, I'll be fine. Just a little bit more. Then I got my phone. And because now, third phase, my mind was gone. I couldn't comprehend that it took a minute for my contacts to come back into my phone. I was just like, I need it now. There are meetings. People are calling me. So I walked out the store, and I'm in New York City. And I've been to this area multiple times, but I couldn't tell where I was. I was literally disoriented. I did not know where I was. And there were 2 things that I knew. One, I need my mom. I need my mom right now. I'm going to die. I need my mom. Mom, I need you. So, and I knew her number by heart. So I'm just like, I need my mom. I got to call her. And 2, I don't know where I'm at, but I just need my mom. And so I got the phone, called my mom. I'm crying in the middle of Manhattan. And I'm like, Mom, I don't know what to do. Like, I only know you. I don't know where I'm at. Like, I just need help. And she gets me an Uber. I go to her house, and I'm just like, do I need to go to the doctor? She's like, no, you need a nap. You need a nap and a meal. And so she's like, go take a shower. I'm going to make you a meal. And you're gonna take a nap. I'm like, but mom. And I'm like, what about my kids? And I have kids, right? I'm like, but what about the kids and work? She's just like, you're gonna take a shower. I'll make you something to eat. And you're gonna take a nap. That's all that's happening right now. And I did those 3 things, and I woke back up, took like an hour, 2-hour nap, and I felt so rejuvenated. She's just like, have you been sleeping? I'm like, no. So that was my experience, and I ignored all the signs. I felt it in my body. I felt the anxiety, the irritation, and then my brain just left. It said, we're done here. We need rest. And so what I needed to heal was that rest. And so what I would tell people, if you feel that burnout or you get burnt out, call on your support system. there may be family or friends, or if you don't have close family or friends, there are services that are available. Sometimes they're completely free, depending on where you live in your community. Google is your best friend. If you don't have a computer, go to the library. There are libraries every state, city, country, and tap into those resources. There are hotlines that you could call to get the support if you don't have, again, a person in your family or a friend. And say out loud, I need help. Like, something has gone wrong. You have to acknowledge it. I need some help. I don't feel good. And just share that with your folks. People are open to support and willing to support. Or even on Twitter, I've seen this, I forgot, a couple of years ago, a trend, a thread went viral, and the person was just like, I'm sick, I'm in a different city, I don't have any family and friends, and people brought soup and support, and was a complete strangers, right? People are willing to help if you allow them to. So let folks know that you need help. You have to accept it yourself, share with others, and then take that break, right? Communicate, say, I'm going to step back, whether that's a day or a month or a week, whatever, and allow your brain time to heal, allow your body time to heal, and then come back in making more strategic decisions, right? Now that you've healed up, acknowledge where it went wrong and put in place measures to allow for it not to go wrong. So when I came back, I amplified and changed the entire way my company works and how communications happen. I'm like, everything can't funnel through me, because if I need a break, or I can't even enjoy a family vacation because everything is funneled through me. So one, that's not going to happen. There's going to be 14 different communication lines before me. There's going to be, rest included in my everyday schedule, like moments of rest, reading, exercise, eating. I'm going to put that in my schedule as the same way I'd commit to a meeting. I'm committing to this meal. I'm committing to this exercise, and managing it that way. And I'll just stop off there, but you have to acknowledge it, ask for help, and then come back in with a new plan after you've, recuperated.
Yes. Shout out to your mom. Shout out to all the moms and the pops in the world, and the aunties and the uncles and the community who could just be there, and this is also, we need to remember people's numbers, like I'm in my mind, like,
at least your mom's or your dad.
At least I know I got my mom's
number. You need
number.
one number. Beyond 911, you need one number. And if 911 is all you can call them.
Call it. Yes.
Call them.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you for the transparency there. First, I know you're not alone. So I know that, it was probably enriching for folks to hear your personal journey, and also to see that you got back in, you changed things up. You didn't just go back. I think this also is under the umbrella of being productive. Like, you don't just fall out and then go back into the same thing, same mess, and then expect for that to be better. So I love that you took the intention to change things up, to help essentially, commit to yourself and to your company so that productivity can happen even if you're not around. So kudos there. I want to also just dive into the productivity piece a little more here. So it seems like there's a balance, right? According to your personal story, and then what we see happening in the industry, if we aren't taking care of ourselves, no matter how productive we think we are, they're hand in hand. Yep. So speaking on productivity, what are some measures that you can implement in your team structure, your time management, or just, I think you were speaking of communication, the flows of communication. How can one set it up for success within their organization, within their team, so that they can be productive and avoid burnout?
Absolutely. So the first thing I'd say from like a business professional standpoint is having systems and processes, right? How does something get done from start to finish? How does it get done? If you're in the role of CEO or manager or some type of C-suite role, everything that you do, you should try your best to have a doc that says, this, in order to do this thing, this is how I do it. Step 1 to 101, if that's necessary. That way it could be handed off to somebody, or someone else can be trained, and it could be delegated in the future. By having those systems and processes, and people will change and technology will change and things will change. And so the systems may get optimized in the future, but have a system, a step-by-step, this is how it's done. If you don't like to write, make a video. If you don't like to make a video color, whatever, but you need to get it from up here, right? We keep too many things up here, and up here is great, but it's also limited. And if you put too much in your head, then that leads to a greater risk. So it's also risk management, right? You know, if I'm the only one that knows it and 20 other people need to do it, they can't take action until I take action. So now you are a part of that domino race, versus if you have a system, hey, here's the Google Doc, you know, just log into my email, right? That's something that you could quickly share. So have that systems and process. That's the first thing. The second thing is, within those systems and processes, delegate, right? Who on your team could be or should be doing this thing? Checking in, is anyone available to help out with this task? Or, you know, if you have the revenue generated or the budget, able to hire a part-time freelancer, a virtual assistant, a full-time person in that role, right? That's how roles are created, saying, okay, this is, you know, we're planning an event, right? This part is 40 emails that need to go back and forth. Do I need to be doing that? Maybe not. Is there a system of how we like to, you know, the copy to use, what time we send the emails, what email address it comes from? Yes. Okay, let me find somebody on Fiverr. Let me find someone on Upwork. Let me tap into another teammate that could then tackle that task, right? So delegation is important, but the only way you can successfully delegate it, well, one of the best ways to successfully delegate is by having systems and processes of how things are done. So that we can say, here's how it's done, pass it over to the person. That reduces the time that you have to do the training. You know, you still have to follow up with folks, but now you have a clear way of doing it. If they find out, hey, we could combine steps 2 and 3, great, do it. Have fun with that. You know what I mean? So you could delegate. And then another way is, you know, they always say like everyone has the same 24 hours as Beyonce, when it's not really true. You know, the way she delegates her time and just saying, okay, if I need to be at these meetings, what does after my meetings look like? So having time to debrief after that, as well as having technology also help you outsource some of those activities that you need to do. If you're having a call, instead of saying, after this call, I'm going to send an email to the person I had a call with, set up a system that after the call, it automatically sends an email. And if you want to add on to that email, great. But now you know that task is done and it's already handled. Services like Calendly, Zapier, Google, like all of these services are out there that does it. So just to recap, you know, building out systems and processes inside of your business or your organization. You don't even have to be the CEO. Whatever role you're at, having the systems and processes written down or recorded in some type of way. The second thing is using those systems and processes to delegate tasks that don't need your time and attention. You could delegate to someone else on your team. And then the third thing is to use technology to automate some of the activities that you have to do. So, you know, that same system and process, put it into the machine, the technology, or put that same system process to a person, and then they could tackle it.
Thank you so much. You're going deep. You are also highlighting. I love that you come back with a, you know, just a review. So you make sure you get this. So I appreciate your thoroughness there. Now we are actually at our time, and we did have a couple questions come in the chat that unfortunately we weren't able to get to. So if folks want to reach out to you, Georgie-Ann, to connect and learn more about you and to support your company, how can they find you?
Yeah, definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. If you look up Georgie-Ann Getton, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one you're going to find, or on social media, on every channel. I'm GSD with Georgie. Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, all of the things. Just GSD with Georgie is the best way to reach me, or Georgie-Ann Getton on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Georgie-Ann, thank you so much. Thank you for your transparency, your vulnerability, your support and encouragement, and good luck with everything. It's been a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to connecting with everyone. Have a great rest of the conference.